In today's Leeds news, Leeds to add more revenue, Okafor fitness is key, Leeds Atletico connection, and Tanaka a hidden gem. Hi folks, welcome to the Leeds View for Wednesday the 15th of April with your Leeds United news. Jer here, I hope you're having a really good week so far. Bit of stuff to get stuck into today, some financial news or some investment clarification to talk about. Also, we did the podcast last night, myself, Paul and Jerry basking for another day in Leeds United's win over Manchester United. You can check that out if you want to just, gloat for a little bit longer and enjoy yourself. There's lots more work to do next weekend against Wolverhampton Wanderers. It starts again, but I suppose we should enjoy the little successes along the way and that win against Manchester United. So if you want to bask in that, and Jerry basked in it, you can check out last night's podcast. I'll link it at the end of the video anyway, we can talk about it. Also, partner with OK Jerseys for 8% off for World Cup shirts for a World Cup summer. Use the code TView in your basket for that discount. Right, let's crack on and start off with more Leeds United revenue. So Leeds finances were released last month. They've been incredibly positively received by all of the experts who understand finances more than we do. But not just the fact that they're positively received, they were incredibly positive just for a championship club, let alone a Premier League, with revenue that would have been in and around the top six of the Premier League. And football finance expert Stefan Borston has been talking about this and potential increases in revenue for Leeds United over the next year or so. And he reckons that Leeds United this season, for the financial reports, will be released next March, April, Leeds will see another record-breaking year. Borson was talking up Leeds United's finances, and he was basically saying that Leeds has done an incredible job last season to bring in revenues of £137 million. But he does expect that to go up and over £200 million this season again when those reports are released in March next year. He said the following: even if they finish in the bottom three, you can probably add another 75 million on top of the broadcast compared to last season. You'd think that they've sharpened commercially, but let's say they end up with another 10 million. So you're probably looking at about £85 million. Match day revenue will broadly be the same because there are more games in the championship, obviously. And when you get promoted, everyone loves it and turns up. So it doesn't really make that much difference which division you're in when you're in the championship and gaining promotion. I suspect you're looking at about £85 million, which will take them over the £200 million mark for the season. So very positive news potentially coming out next year. As we come into this summer, we'll hopefully see the fruits of that extra investment and extra sponsorship. We don't know what the extent of the Paramatch deal is. We don't know how much extra money Red Bull put in with their sponsorship extension. They took over all the training gear and apparel as well, so we don't know what that is. There's obviously the Fanatics investment as well. They bought up Leeds United's club shop essentially, so they bought all that stock already. So we don't know what that equates to in terms of cash. And one of the bigger parts of this as well is we don't know what Andreas Dragopoulos' investment in Leeds United is this year. Not from a revenue perspective, but just from an all-round investment and capital investment in the club. So we don't know exactly how much money Leeds have brought in this year. It's expected to be minimum £85 million, which would get us over that £200 million mark. And as a low ball estimate, that's a pretty healthy position for the club to be in. Now the next thing to do is to stay in the Premier League and make sure we can get as high up as we can. Every single place Leeds finish higher is worth 3 million extra quid to the club. So all of that will be important. The higher we finish, the more money we make, the more money that can be spent in the summer, which will be a very important summer. But could be a very positive summer ahead should all of this end up being very, very positive. But we'll move on for now. Let's talk about Noah Okafor. And James Justin has been speaking about Leeds United's run, and he believes that it is vitally important to keep Noah Okafor fit, healthy and on the pitch for the run-in for Leeds United. Okafor's got 5 goal contributions in his last 5 games, 3 in his last 3 if you include the assist he got for out Tanaka in the FA Cup as well. So he's hitting form at the right time, even with a couple of little niggly injury concerns over the last couple of weeks. But he has had injuries over the course of the season as well. But I think if you look at his numbers this year, I think he's played more games this season than he's played any other season in probably the last 3 or 4 years. So that's been really beneficial for Leeds United. Daniel Farke has also praised him outside of James Justin. And Farke has praised not just his attacking attributes for Leeds United, but also his defensive work, which has been hugely important. We saw that against Manchester United on Monday night as well. But James Justin believes that it is really important for Leeds United that he stays fit and stays on the pitch. And he said this about Noah Okafor: it's just something that he'll always give you. He's electric when he plays, no matter how long he plays for. To keep him fit is the biggest thing for this club this season. And hopefully we can have him fit and firing like that for the rest of the season, and we'll be in a good place. It's interesting though as well, because Leeds were looking for difference makers as were labelled in the summer. They looked at Igor Paixão. I know Okafor came in and not everybody was overly enamoured with what they saw early on in the season. He's taken a bit of time to grow into Leeds United, but I think He's made a big difference in certain games this season. You look at Nottingham Forest, you look at Chelsea, you look at Manchester United. So games that have mattered, he has made a difference this season. So we might have just got our difference maker. And Igor Paixão's season at Marseille is not going great. So yeah, we might have got the better end of the stick on that one. But he's got a lot more time at Leeds United, hopefully, to come. Fingers crossed he can stay fit and healthy and continue to improve his fitness. Leeds medical team have been brilliant at making sure these players can get on the pitch this season. So fingers crossed that continues. But he has been Leeds' biggest goal threat. It's vital that he's there on Saturday against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's move on. Interesting story that came out last night or yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, about a Leeds United and Atletico Madrid connection. And it kind of goes back to one of the investors that Leeds United have. So Leeds United investors, IDC Sports, they have bought a minority stake in Atletico Madrid as part of what they're calling their multi-club portfolio. Not necessarily a multi-club footballing model, but they have acquired a stake in Atletico Madrid, and the questions have then come up, well, if they're invested in the 49ers enterprises, who are invested in Leeds, and they're investing in Atletico, is there a connection between Leeds United and Atletico Madrid? Now, well, IDC, as I say, have a minority stake. Their stake in Leeds United is purchased through the 49ers enterprises pool. So IDC Entertainment invested in Leeds via the 49ers enterprise. And when they did initially, they described Leeds United as a sleeping giant. They also said that Leeds lined up with their moral values as well as side before self and marching on together, which was, a little bit of buzzword stuff and tapping into the Leeds United psyche. But they did invest, but it is just a minority stake in Leeds. They also hold a majority stake in Colombian side Deportivo Cali. So they've got a few fingers in a few different club pots at this point. The investment in Atletico Madrid, though, where it connects to Leeds United, that investment is described as more financial than technical. And what they say on this is that means that any kind of formal player sharing agreements or scouting databases sharing with Atletico and Leeds are incredibly unlikely to be happening. It is described as being similar to Red Bull's investment in Leeds and in, say, Paris FC, where they both bought a 10% stake, minority, no voting rights, just there as more commercial partner than anything else. So as they say in the report about this is being described as a case of capital investment from IDC, trying to connect with other investors around the world more than anything necessarily connecting Atletico Madrid and Leeds United. We'll see if that pans out to be the case over time, but right now that is what they say is the situation around both of those. So there you go, there's the clarity on that one. Let's move on and talk about Tanaka again. We've talked about Tanaka more than anybody else over the last couple of weeks, but he's in the news again, and his performance against Manchester United is getting rave reviews, not just from Leeds United fans, not just from Manchester United fans, and not just from Premier League fans, but also from media and pundits around the world as well. The last two games against West Ham United and Manchester United have absolutely validated what all of us have been saying for the last couple of months, that Tanaka needs to be in the side more often, he needs to play more, he's Leeds' most dynamic midfielder, and he needs to be getting game time. He's proven that over the last couple of games. But Darren Bent was speaking about this on TalkSport, and he stressed that Tanaka and Ethan Ampadu's performances against Manchester United were vital in that win for Leeds. He described both of them as dominant in the match, and he had the following to say about Tanaka. Okafor took all the plaudits for the two goals, but Tanaka, before he got injured, was brilliant. He controlled the midfield, worked hard, and probably should have scored if not for some good defending from Martinez. He and Ampadu were brilliant. Now, there's been a huge amount of talk and speculation around Tanaka's future, frustration from the players' side of not getting enough minutes, question marks as to where he fits in Daniel Farke's system, why Farke doesn't play him more often. He is that more attacking, dynamic midfielder, but he can also do the defensive side of the game as well. And there's been a trust question there. But we've seen without Tanaka this season, the more games he plays in a row, the better he gets. And he shows he's absolutely at this level. He's more than capable of it. And he's gone up against some big sides this year. Again, back to Chelsea and Manchester United this year. And shown that he's absolutely capable of dominating those sides when he does play. Now, for me, with all this talk about Tanaka, Leeds can't afford for Tanaka to be allowed to move in the summer. They can't sell him. They definitely can't sell him for 10 million quid or less than that. I think his value has probably tripled over the last couple of weeks and months. So for me, he is a vitally important player for Leeds United in this run-in, and he's growing into Leeds and the English leagues as well. So for me, again, I would make sure he stays at Leeds United for as long as he possibly can, definitely into next season. He can't be a player that's sold. Daniel Farke needs to find a way of making sure he's in this team, because for me, if Leeds are going to be successful, if Leeds are going to get the best out of their attacking players, Tanaka needs to be in that midfield for Leeds United. I think everybody else across the board agrees. I don't think there's anybody saying, no, actually, Tanaka should be playing. He should be. When Anton's Stack out, he has an opportunity. It'd be interesting to see how Daniel Farke incorporates both of them. He should incorporate both of them. Stack came in as a defensive-minded midfielder. Funnily enough, so did Tanaka. But yeah, we talked about him last night in the podcast as well. You can check that out if you want to. It is linked down below. And that'll be it for me today, folks. We'll be back tomorrow morning with some more Leeds United news. We'll have Harvey Marcus from Paris 75 on as a bonus podcast on Friday. We'll have a preview on Thursday. Lots of stuff coming up for the remainder of the week. And massive thanks to everyone who has subscribed lately. It's really appreciated and liked the videos. It helps us out a huge amount. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.